Alrighty, so I know it's been a few days since I posted. All right, calm down. I was grinding ventures that took like a day and a half, about 30 hours. We didn't get under our best time, which was I believe it was 26 hours for ventures. That's our fastest time overall. I think it was back in Halloween. I don't know what we were doing, but we finished that super fast. I think we got ours venture season done in about 30 hours this time, which is pretty good. I mean, that's only, a day and a fourth. So like a day and a fourth. So honestly, not too bad. But you guys always like watching these videos knowing what loadouts does the Mattio, use to finish ventures in 30 hours, which usually the loadouts don't change too often. However, this venture season modifier is kind of different. I think it's the most unique one out of all of them. I think besides the superhero one, because the superhero one just buffs basically all the heroes, and that is fun to use. But this one has bouncy husk. So if you don't know the modifier for this season, it is bouncy husk, and then I think like supercharged husk, which by the way it's not bad per se, but it's not great. So yeah, so we have bouncy husk, which are basically normal and husky husk and miss monsters have increased health. All husks get knocked back further and easier, and player weapons get bonus knockback. So it's very fun using like a weapon such as one of the what is it called? It's one of the pirate shotguns. You can increase like the knockback, and it's very fun to use. You can knock a miss monster like half across the map. And then super treasure, which is a really great thing because you always have materials, which is amazing. Besides nuts and bolts, that's like the one thing that I struggled with this venture season. But super treasure, great monsters mean great rewards. Players periodically spawn a chest full of valuable. Thank you for follow. Valuable items when eliminating enemies. Tougher enemies drop chests more frequently, which is really good. So you get a lot of rewards, such as like once you're in the higher zones, you get like Sunbeam and Bright Core and just a bunch of stuff through it, which is a really great reward. As you can see, I am level 50. So all those people that say that I'm not level 50, I am level 50. Otherwise, let's get into the actual loadout. So I'm going to go from like the loadout that I use the most to like my favorite loadout. That's like the final one that I use. But basically the first loadout is Diecast Jonesy. So if you guys don't usually know, I run Diecast. In the lower zones, I start off with Commando Renegade, which is an Xbox exclusive, or if you don't have the Xbox exclusive, I believe his actual name, he's actually in the shop right now too. I always forget the minigun loadout. I don't know why, nor somehow I just always forget. Okay, there he is. His actual name is Going Again. He decreases your minigun by 30% and lead at 66%. Yeah, Commander Spitfire. Thank you. Sorry, Chad. Commander Spitfire decreases your cooldown of your minigun by 66% in lead, and then in support it's like 30%. And then of course if you switch that out with Diecast Jonesy, it makes your minigun energy, which is really good against like any husk. And then of course it increases your damage by 25% or by 50% in lead, and then changes to energy, which he's really good for higher zones like 140s, killing a mini boss that is really high level and high health. He's better in lead. But the lower zones, you want to swap him out for for Commander Spitfire. So yeah, otherwise that is basically the minigun loadout. I talk about this one every season. You can use it in the lower zones and even in the higher zones to switch out those two, like I said. And then of course this extra support slot, this is actually used for whatever you want. I usually put in like Paleo Luna because I need melee kills, or AR damage because I need AR eliminations, shock and hero. Put whatever you want in this. You can even put Chaos Agent so you can reload your ammo faster and whatnot. This one is just open up for whatever you want. And then of course I have Survivalist. This is a normal one. He's not that great, but he's better than not having him at all. So yeah. And then of course first cup of the day, which is increase crit rating by 10 and crit damage by 100% when you're going commandos activated. So really good. Otherwise let's move on to the next loadout. This is the Foreman loadout. This one's usually the same every single time. There is different Foreman loadouts throughout venture season. Like running clip in the lead isn't always necessary. Like you could even swap to like Archaeology Jess, because she increases your attack heavy attack efficiency by a lot more in lead. But I run clip because I want I want more materials every time I punch. Now necessarily for this venture season you don't need to run her because of the super treasures that you get a lot of materials from those, so you don't really have to run her in lead. But this is a loadout, of course, that I usually run because it's the one that I remember and the one I love. So of course you're going to run clip in the lead, blast from the past, because you're going to be running Saurian focus, which while your shield's depleted you get 4 energy per second, which is really good because you're punching a lot. And then of course Saurian claws, I ran her because I needed melee weapon damage. So yeah, Paleo Luna didn't really, not necessary. You can run something else, but usually whenever I'm farming, I want to get a little damage in there, and usually I'm running it because I need materials and I can finish some other stuff. But you can swap this out with like the other, some other diner heroes. Like you can swap it out for Saurian Hide. You can also do Saurian Fight, pretty much really anyone. But I did Claws because I needed melee kills at the time. So yeah. Then of course you want Archaeologist just in support, strike cost, and then Fuel for the Fallen. Every time I get eliminations, I'm getting energy back, so that's really good. That's why I'm running him. And then of course shock and damage. This one's another dead perk, or not dead perk, but a perk that you can just swap out for whatever you want. I needed shock and eliminations and melee elimination, so I just switch back and forth between stuff like that. So yeah, these two are really up to you, but you do need another dino hero, so Hide is probably the next best one. Otherwise, this is an open one. And always run supply drop when you're farming. Even in ventures, like supply drop is like a major thing that you should be running instead of like adrenaline or even turrets, because turrets aren't like really crazy good because you need eliminations for yourself, not turret eliminations. So yeah. Otherwise, let's move on to the next loadout. We have Dragon Scorch. This is the Dragon Slash loadout, which is the same usually every single time. You're going to be running Dragon Scorch in the lead, and then Happy Holidays for the reduced cooldown, Fuel for the Fallen, Tail of the Dragon, Return of the Dragon. These are all 3 necessary ones, along with Plasma Arc. You don't really have to run him, but he does increase your damage because of the energy trail that you leave behind, which is really good because you're wanting to do more damage. This loadout's basically used for encampments, clearing them, or even eliminate and collect if you need those eliminations. Really good loadout. I do recommend it. And then Smoke Bomb or Sea Fog, which Smoke Bomb restores your shield to full. Which is really good because you're basically close to the enemies and you're gonna die. Bam, smoke bomb, and you're out of there. You have full shield. And then of course, yeah, basic loadout, super easy. Like I said, encampments and eliminate collect is probably the best that you want to, or the best loadout that you want to use for those missions. Otherwise, moving on, we got Paleo Luna. This is actually my favorite loadout. Before I talk about that one, let's talk about the base loadout. Now, this one's the same every single time. This is overkill. You really don't have to run tough traps. You don't have to run like power modulation. But basically this is like a killer a loadout. I don't know why I had faster explosions. Maybe I was doing something else. I don't know. I usually run base MD. He doesn't really do a lot, but I usually run base MD. But basically you can put base Kyle in the lead, you could put Mega Base in the lead, you can put Ice King in the lead. Any 3 of those in the lead and you're pretty much good. I run recycling. I would like to get my materials back that I put into the mission. Tough traps increase your trap durability, so survivor squads don't count into ventures at all. So you definitely want to be running her in support because you want that extra trap durability, especially since the traps that you're using, like I said, the survivor squads doesn't apply to it in ventures because you're 0 power level when you start off. And then of course, if you're not running Ice King or Mega Base in lead, you're going to be running them in support. And then of course, base MD is not really necessary. Depending on what you're trying to do, you could put like a shotgun hero in there, or Paleo Luna if you need melee weapon damage. Pretty much anyone that you could swap out. So that's another one that you could just clear out and put whatever you want in there. However, let's get to my favorite and final loadout, which this is probably the best loadout to run this venture season. I know someone actually that ran this loadout just about, I think it's about the same loadout, just about the or they ran it in every single mission until they were level 50 this season, which is insane. I think running this loadout is just fun. I ran it mostly because, like pay legs are kind of insane. So if you don't know, the more damage or the closer to the enemy that you are, you're going to be, swinging and whatnot. And the knockback is going to be increased, of course. So hitting enemies really close is going to knock them back further. Most likely, standing further back is not going to hit them further away. You want to be closer. So that's why this loadout's a little fun. And also the increased damage. Just very fun. Anyways, Paleo Luna is going to be ran in the lead because you're going to be wanting as much melee damage as possible, which, your health, max health gives you more damage. So yeah, you're going to be running in the lead. And then you're going to be running Blackbeard Stash as a team perk. If you don't know what Blackbeard Stash is, you get him by actually getting, I believe, I don't know why I always forget hero names. You get Blackbeard Stash by getting Blackbeard of the Black-Hearted or any of the pirate heroes, I believe. I think you have to at least have 1 or 2. And then you can get him from like a quest line. I don't even know if this guy actually. No, I think it's this guy. Yeah, I think you need him, which you get him from the quest line that's out right now. So yeah. Anyways, you're going to be running Blackbeard Stash, which basically has a chance of dropping a Blackbeard Stash, which is kind of funny because Blackbeard Stash are already in the mission. So, you can like mess with your friends and take their Blackbeard Stashes. Or there are super treasures stashes because you're running Blackbeard Stash, because there's like some coding that allows you to do that. So it's very fun. But yeah, team perk Blackbeard Stash. It gives you coconuts, it gives you cannonballs, and it gives you peg legs, which is the most powerful thing this winter season, in my opinion. And then you're going to be running a vast Mates, which increases your cannonball damage by 20%. This applies to those cannonballs that you get from the Blackbeard stash, which is really good. You also get them from the super treasures, but you can't pick them both up because there's like different power levels, and because my Paleo is supercharged, so I get like supercharged cannonballs pretty much. And then swab the deck, which increases your club damage by 17%. This applies to the peg legs, which are super helpful and really crazy because you're already doing a lot of damage, and then along with swap the deck, you're going to be doing more. And then corrosive strike, which is basically melee critical hits apply 30% snare, and affliction, which deals 37% of damage dealt each second for 3 seconds, which is really just OP in any melee loadout. Going coconuts, of course, because you're going to be wanting those coconuts anyways, because you're going to be searching those chests, and then you also want that increased damage by 16%, so of course you're gonna be running that. And then monster smash, which increases your life leech with melee attacks going constructed by up to 15% based on the percentage of your missing health. So life leech is really good. You can swap monster smash out if you really want to. This isn't a perk that you really need. You could pretty much put any other melee melee character in there, melee hero. So yeah, but this is the most overpowerful, or OP, I guess, OP loadout for this venture season. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, but this is by far the one that I would recommend using. If someone could finish ventures with this single loadout, you know, all the way to level 50, you could probably do it too. Otherwise, that is all the venture loadouts that I used to hit level 50 in 30 hours. Very fun. Like I said, if you have any questions, comment down below. Otherwise, subscribe if you want any more further videos. We're going to be covering the pirate weapons in the future, so stay tuned. Otherwise, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.